Hey, is this thing on? Lance, Nick, ready? Can you hear me? Welcome to the Live Free and Hunt podcast. Live Free and Hunt episode number 17. We sat down with Kevin Harrison and Bob Tripi. We talked bear baits. We had a good time. They're having a fish fry over here. So if there's any outside noise, they're partying downstairs.
Yeah, we ain't screwing around.
No,
it's a good time here.
They went out and put set up bear sites.
Stands today.
Yeah.
Got the barrels out, stands up.
Stands of barrels.
And we just pretty much talked about tactics on bear baiting and just hunting bear in general. And
judging bears.
Yeah, some great information. I think everyone.
It was a good time.
Yeah, I had a blast, dude. I love hearing stories and stuff. But we do have a little thing here for trail cameras to help someone out in New Hampshire that's starting to market these things.
And it's called the Q2 Trail Cam Mount. No more sticks. Allow users to hang their trail cameras high out of the sight of the big boys and potential thieves. When hanging them high, they need to be angled down. This allows the user to angle it without the use of sticks. Angle your camera to the bracket, attach it to the tree, set your angle with the thumb screws, and bam, you're done. Bam, bam, outdoors.
Yeah.
Now, I was thinking this would be great for bear baits because you see people putting them in the metal boxes.
Yeah,
yeah.
The lock
Just
boxes.
Like you put them in the metal boxes because the bears walk right up to them, sniff them, rip them off. If you put it up in the tree where it's out of their reach, 8 feet, and you use this angle bracket,
it's not
you don't have to worry about it.
No.
Yeah.
So pretty much all this is, guys, it's just a bracket that mounts to the tree, and then you mount your camera onto the bracket, and it allows you to adjust it on certain angles, whatever way you want to, face the camera or whatever. So
yeah,
it's a slick thing, especially even deer hunting. If you like to, put a couple sticks up and hang that camera up 10 feet high.
Fuck your sticks.
It's great.
We don't need no
No,
sticks
I'm talking
anymore.
about climbing
Use your bracket.
sticks. I'm talking about climbing sticks. If you want to put a couple climbing sticks
Use the
up.
Q2 bracket.
Yep. Q2
And
bracket, and
it's got the thumb screw right into the bottom of the camera.
Yeah, you're off to the races. You don't have to have a straight tree. You can have a cricket tree. If you want to put it wherever you want to put it, it's going to work. It's sweet. Bam Bam Outdoors on Instagram. And if you want one, you want to check one out, reach out to him. He's a super nice dude. So
yep. We'll put his description. We'll put his information in the description, so you guys will all have that. So it's easy to click on and find out and message him. Let's end this, boys. Let's get right to this podcast. Let's get it.
See ya.
Like a bad deck of cards that loves to lose. You don't listen to me, and I don't want you to, 'cause we sure have fun throwing my money away. You bet high, I bet low. You're all in and I'm all broke. Another paycheck down the drain.
Good to go?
Yep, good to go.
That mason jar full of bear grease, Kev?
Oh, it's better than that.
Good to go.
You got enough length?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So what the hell did you guys do today?
What we do every year, but we did it in the rain. This is the first.
The first day of rain all year, all summer.
Yeah, we honestly we were talking like we'd have in over the last 5-6 years haven't had. Guess whose phone that is?
Nick Corso.
No, we got our. But yeah, we were joking there because we were like every year we've done this past 5-6 years. It's been a beautiful day. We get tailgate and all that, but pouring rainy day. But we got all the barrels and the stands out for bear season this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's have them introduce themselves first.
Yeah. So who do we got on the podcast today? Let's Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I can start. Name's Bob Tripi. Moved to New Hampshire, 15 years ago. Grew up, graduated high school in Jackman, Maine. Moved out west for a little bit.
Retired rodeo clown.
Retired rodeo clown.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, oh yes,
It was for quite a few years.
It was a thing for a while. But yeah, my name's Bob Tripi, and I'm a
rodeo clown.
I'm a retired rodeo clown.
How did you grow up in the outdoors? Was it
You know
family?
what? Growing up, my family was never an outdoors family. We moved to Jackman, Maine when I was 10. And if anyone's familiar with Jackman, Maine, you really don't have much of a choice but to get involved with the outdoors. There's not much more to do. So, I started bird hunting in high school, and that was kind of my passion, partridge hunting or grouse or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
I hear the difference is you shoot a partridge on the ground.
Yeah, of
And
course.
the grouse is in the air.
That's right. So anyhow, yeah, you drive around in an '85 Chevy Blazer, and and then I was probably 20, 21 when you moved to town. Kevin and I had known each other for a long time, and that interest in the outdoors has kind of always been in me. And then Kevin and I met. He moved up north, moved to Jackman, and then just kind of started snowballing.
Bob left me and moved to Montana.
I did. I moved to Montana, and then I came home, and this.
At least you had a place. At least you guys had a place to stay over there.
So when I moved back from Montana, Kev moved out to Montana. So yeah, we kind of
you like it.
Yeah, we
wave on the highway?
Yeah, we high fived on 90 West, and and then we both kind of, as life kind of takes its turns, both settled here in Meredith, New Hampshire, and we've been exploring, bear hunting, deer hunting around here for 7-8 years.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah. Yep.
No shit. And so, Kevin Harrison,
Yep.
where did you? How'd you start in the outdoors? I know kind of your backstory just from other podcasts, the Big Woods Bucks, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I mean, I was very fortunate. I had an older brother that took me everywhere in the woods and that. So
Yeah.
I grew up in southern New Hampshire, so he took me hunting and fishing and camping and all that stuff. And then I moved to Jackman, and then kind of just did the guide thing as a something to do. And the next thing you know, 10 years later, there it is.
There
and then
it is.
I wound up coming back to New Hampshire and, like Bob said, settling in Meredith, which is a
He
great
skipped
place.
a couple steps there. There's some there's some integral pieces to that puzzle he left out. Yeah, tune into there's other podcasts out there.
Short story. Yeah.
Short story.
so yeah, I mean, just very fortunate to have an older brother that took me hunting,
Yeah.
fishing, and all that stuff to introduce me to it.
right.
And like a lot of kids, just grew up in the outdoors and running around with a bow and arrow and a BB gun in the woods and
Shooting whatever.
exactly.
Songbirds. That was my favorite.
What was your first kill?
As far as songbird,
No, anything. Small game, big
Goldfinch.
game, whatever.
yeah,
Was
yeah.
it a deer?
Probably
Did you get brought up
chickadee.
with deer, or obviously not turkey? I'm guessing it wasn't.
No,
pretty
you know
scarce.
what? Yeah, it was a deer. I didn't shoot deer till I was about 17, and turkey never really interested me. Well, it's kind of one of the reasons why my older brother Frank took me back in like the mid 80s. We could turkey hunt in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
But God, we went out and it was like we were sitting there and it was just like covered with mosquitoes, like unbelievable. Not just like, oh, it was like, I swear, he gave me these black gloves and they were literally gray, covered with mosquitoes. And and then I never turkey hunted again until I was in my early 30s.
Really?
Almost mid 30s. And then obviously now I'm addicted to it,
Yeah.
but I just,
Slim pickings for birds back then too, right?
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
but it was like, and I guess back then I did a lot of fishing, so it was like in the springtime you had something to do. But yeah, I shot a deer right behind my house where I was growing up. Right around the day after Thanksgiving was my first deer, 5-point buck, 135 pounds.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Good deal.
yeah.
When did you guys start getting into bear hunting?
Well, I working with Cedar Ridge Outfitters, when Hal Blood owned it there, I started guiding for bears there.
Yeah.
And we run about, on average, probably 80 baits a year. And then I moved back to New Hampshire and did it a couple, like in southwestern New Hampshire, there's a pile of bears over there.
Really?
Pile.
No shit.
Pile, like Hillsborough and that.
Yeah.
And it was just too far to travel.
I remember walking out there with Philzy.
Did you? Yeah.
Hey, remember that?
Yeah, this is crazy. Oh yes, I do now. Now that you say that.
They
Yeah.
eat the cornfields, right?
We were baiting state land over there.
Yeah.
And there was a pile of bears. And then it was just too far to travel to do it. Blah, blah, blah. It was like an hour and a half from where I was living. And then when we got here, I moved up and just kind of like started pecking around and looking, and then we started bear hunting like I don't even know, 5-6 years ago.
In 5-6 years we've been doing it now.
At
First
least
year was
5.
the most interesting. By far.
To try to set the scene a little bit, we've tried to have this podcast planned for, I don't know, a while, I guess, talking to, Nick.
Yep.
And it just so happens today was the first day that you guys went out and did your stand. There's a party going on downstairs. They're going to fry some fish.
You know what? That's one thing.
We've had some cocktails.
That's one thing we figured we'd touch upon with bear hunting, that obviously there's that whole aspect of the outdoors and the love of hunting. And then we were hoping maybe we'd touch upon the fact that it's also a time of year where summer activities dwindled down and all the families get back together, and it's a very social thing.
Right.
Like, I mean, there was a lot of us together this morning, met here at 6:30, had breakfast. Some of these folks downstairs we haven't seen in a while, and everyone comes back together for this weekend before bear season, and you all go out and you all set up the stands, and 8 people not even carrying anything, but we're out there together and having a good time. And then we always cook up a big dinner tonight. We're gonna have a big fish fry downstairs. It's kind of tradition, and that's it's almost like people, think about ice fishing like that a lot. That it's that social aspect. Although you're doing something in the outdoors that you love, and there's that part of it, but you're also surrounded by just everybody. The pulling the trigger is a solo endeavor, but it's
and that's what you guys got me into it, know, because Kevin talked about it, come out and goose hunted for a couple of years, and I'd never baited bears before that, and then every time we're out there, it's in September, early goose, and Kev's doing nothing but talking about bear, the whole time we're in the blind, and so that put the bug in my ear to try to get in on it and see how it goes, and
especially with the kids, right? I mean.
And now my kids come out with a bait bucket, and they go check the stands, and they check the cameras. And
Devin was only 7 when we started pulling him in the woods, and he ain't carrying a stand or dragging a barrel or helping with the sleds and pulling the barrel, but he's got a backpack on. He's got cameras in there, and back then we used to bring out a laptop out into the woods and put the cards in the laptop, and we'd hurry up and we'd download the camera.
I still do that shit.
But now we have card readers on our phones and shit like that, and I got fucking, I don't know, 8 billion photos of raccoons on my damn phone from bear sites. But back then it was, and it always will be, there's just a little something for everybody, and it's just a good time of year.
No, I think what you guys are doing is fucking awesome, because when I think of bear hunting, like I kind of feel like it's a dying thing, around this area for whatever reason. I know a handful of people that still bait bears and hunt bears, but you always hear that shit like, oh, the bear meat, it's you don't want to do it, and you don't want to do this and that.
You hear that a lot.
But I know
people,
and I've had bear. So
we could do a whole segment on how bear meat is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like
why do you guys feel like that like you have a great thing what you guys did this morning? I think that's awesome. You know, do you think that like bear hunting is going to go away at some point because if it's not popular or if it's the baiting aspect or
it's the most attacked sport too, or animal or
Yeah.
methods, because a lot of the
Baiting
people that
and
are
dogs.
antis, they don't like to see bear baits.
It's
or
so
They don't like to
it's
see
or the dogs.
They don't like to see teddy bears shot. And
Right.
that's the big perception, with people. So, they have a relationship with bears that is
like-
incredibly superficial.
It's a calendar animal,
Right.
Not
Right.
everyone, right? Like if you're a hunter, you have a big buck calendar, right? But if you're a friggin' cat lady in New York, and Steve Ranello say this over and over again, you got a fucking bear calendar, and you got teddy bears,
Yeah.
and there's this whole weird mental attachment to bears from the general public. That deer don't have, that turkey don't have. Turkey are ugly, fucking.
Definitely fish don't have.
But fish don't have. But bears are literally teddy bears.
Yeah.
And so there's just this massive misunderstanding of not only like what the population of bear in New Hampshire is. People think it's a lottery. They think that various types of hunting bear is unethical, and they just don't take the time to understand every nook and cranny of this whole,
well, and all the
this whole
methods,
lifestyle.
we're allowed these methods because they're management tools.
That's correct.
and they're effective for our
For where
geography.
we live in New England.
Right.
You know.
As well as, you get the opportunity to judge a bear, which might lead into that question that Lance was talking about, where if you see a bear in the woods, it's pretty difficult to just make a quick judgment. It doesn't have antlers.
It's extremely difficult.
Hard to see the size. And so a lot of people get that ground shrinkage when they shoot a bear if they're deer hunting or whatever, and they catch one in season.
It's only 100 pounds. And they're like, oh, I thought
Right.
that thing was 200 pounds.
Right.
Well,
Right.
because
They can make
shave it.
they
Shave
can make
it
a
and then
welcome
look at
mat
it.
instead of
Yeah.
a bearskin rug.
Yeah.
well, the thing too is that it's a lot different than seeing a deer, because when someone sees a deer, it's probably not the first time they've seen deer in a field or whatever. But when someone's bear hunting and then they're on a bait and a bear comes in, the first thing in their mind is, holy shit, there's a black bear.
Yeah.
And
Think
it's
I
they're
still
gonna get
do.
attacked. They think they're
Right.
going to get attacked.
right. Yeah, it's a totally different mindset. So then all of a sudden a lot of things go out the window, and it's not easy to judge a bear. I mean, they're a black ball. They don't have like antlers to say, hey, there's it's a 6-pointer or an 8-pointer or whatever it might be. They're a black ball. There's not much definition. But the whole big thing, too, is just it's a whole different ball game when a black bear starts walking in on you. And if you're on a bait, it's going to be 30, 40 yards away, and that's pretty close when you're not used to that,
I guess you can look at the head, right? I guess that's what they say. You can look at between the ears or the size of the ears and stuff. I know
You
that's
know
what
what?
I've heard about judging bear size. That's pretty much the only thing.
This might sound kind of just ignorant, but the best way to learn how to judge bears is shoot one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
Heck yeah, anyone.
You got the barrel there, right? So, like, I always told guys, like, if they can get in the barrel, yeah, that's a small one.
That's a,
If they can get
that's a
the
good
whole
point.
front end in there, because we'll cut out a half moon out of the top of the barrel there, cut the half, and then lay it on the ground. So if come up and feed out of that, so then if one can get its head in, and then 2 arms, probably it's a 70, 80 pounder. Then if one can
Which
get,
is small.
it is small.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
mean, it's
yearling.
not.
It's a yearling.
It's a yearling. I mean, you're still.
It's a spike buck.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
people that
sure.
it'd be like that. It would be a spike buck.
Okay.
And then one can get his head in and get one arm in, then maybe that's a 6-pointer. And then one that can just get his arm in, that's an 8-pointer. If you want to draw a parallel like that, as far as how big they are. And then when you get one that like lays down in front of the barrel and just like scoops out, which can be deceiving because you can go to a bait and he scooped out in the front. Well, that's
That could
because they
be that big.
Because
That's all they can do.
right?
Yeah.
And that's yeah.
And everyone has their own way of doing it. But with the sex there, like you hang something in a tree and hopefully they show you the privates.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean,
Hang that beaver tail.
yeah, right, yeah, in sows and boars do different things at bait sites. They just have different characteristics, so that's going to help you, you know, understand what you're seeing on the camera if you have a camera on the bait. Sows will never like rack the barrel.
No, but they'll and if you are doing a little bit of research and spend a little bit of time, like Kevin and I have looked, as many people do, trail cam photos, just thousands of photos, and you'll see sows a lot of times balling up the dirt and the pine needles in front, and they're
like
almost massaging the ground around the barrel.
Like
and they almost are pushing crap around on the ground. You start seeing your bait sites thrashed and ripped up, and the barrel moved off. And I mean, we can tell a ton of stories, but you know, we've had barrels completely bears snap ropes, carry the damn barrels off full.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
You know that's a boar. That sows. It's just. I mean, listen. It could be a sow, but every instinct tells you that a sow's not going to get that aggressive. That's a boar. You know, racking on them trees and tossing that barrel around. You know, and
It's a given.
If
If their feet and the barrel ain't moved, it's 99% a sow. But if it's racked around or moved, it's gonna be a boar.
What is is like shooting a sow? Obviously, with cubs, I know. Obviously, that's frowned upon.
Yeah.
I think in the bear community.
Yep.
Yeah.
I may be wrong. If you shoot a sow,
a sow or a sow with cubs.
Well, that's what I
That's
was
the
going to go
differentiating
into. So,
factor.
Right.
is that a cool thing? Not a cool thing. Is that what if it doesn't have cubs, it comes in without cubs?
That's fine.
That's
Yeah.
fair game. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Perhaps
asking
the
you.
question
yeah.
too that was asked on social media was how to judge a bear in that moment at the barrel or however you're hunting.
Yeah.
You know, not everyone. I mean, some people hunt with hounds, but I don't know. There's not.
Well, typically the sow's going to come in. If she comes in, the cub's going to be right with her. If the cubs come in, there's no sow, she's somewhere going to be watching. She's right there watching. You might not see her, but she's there. But they're typically always going to be right with her. And that's a great thing about baiting, because if you're out deer hunting and it's general season and you get, all of a sudden you see a bear, you get, again, holy shit, there's a bear.
There's a bear there.
You get locked right in on it, and those cubs could be 10 feet from her, and you're never going to see them.
Yeah.
Because you just, but with baiting, that allows you to observe, and make a good ethical shot, make a good decision. But yeah, you can't, I mean,
you do your best, and it is what it is,
Yeah.
As long as you're trying to do your best too. You know what I mean? Like as long as you're conscious of these things, and as long as these thoughts are going through your head as you're assessing the situation.
Nobody wants to shoot a cub.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to shoot a cub.
You don't want to be that person that brings that into the tag.
Right. It's just, and even if and people make it just happens. It just happens. But it's what's better to shoot a cub than shoot a sow with 2 cubs, because then you're gonna kill probably 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, and I think that happens, in the deer woods when people deer hunt. But it happens. It's nothing that anyone wants to do.
There's no legality saying you can't do it, and it's not. So
no, it's just a thing that I'd say not. I mean, you're not going to find many people that would argue. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
argue against that.
Yeah.
And I also think that there's some
It'll happen once.
Yeah.
With that person.
That's
It's
it.
not
But
going to
too,
happen again.
the baiting's going to give you the opportunity to give
Make
the
that
bear some
decision.
time.
Yeah.
They're coming
you know.
into the bait. If once they get there, you got time to look them over, and then you know.
You could spend a whole probably 2 hours talking about the ethics or both sides of the baiting story, and as long as you understand where both sides are coming from, which a lot of people have zero interest in understanding the other side, but It's something that is unique to certainly our geography here in New England. You don't bait bears in Montana.
Yeah.
Anyone that says, well, they don't bait bears out there, why do you got to do it here?
They do in Idaho.
1,000%
They've got a
different.
big season in Idaho, spring and a fall bait season.
Right. It's just it's different geography.
And
when
you look at the harvest data, it's well over 50% of the bears that are taken are overbait or with hounds. So you need that, advantage to use it as a management tool. You need that because otherwise you're not going to run into these reclusive animals.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I wish they weren't so reclusive sometimes, I can tell you that.
Right.
But in getting back to your
because
point,
we want to be fucking soaked all day today, setting up barrels and stands, and no, I wish there was an easier way. But
So speaking of barrels and stands, I wanted to talk to you guys.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we talking about like, will bear hunting ever go? I don't think bear hunting will ever go away because the bear population will never go away and just increase, and then there's so much, our encroachment on wild places is just growing. So there's we've had our hand in it for too long and too deep to take it out now as far as managing wildlife in wild places. And I think someone touched on something about whatever it was, but bear hunting is a great, we always talk about they talk about the 3 R's, recruitment, retention, and reactivation. But, and bear hunting is a great lateral move for people that already hunt, and it's great for the state because that's another license that's bought. And it's a great way to expose someone to another way of hunting also.
Mm-hmm. I do see the only thing happening is all the land, obviously we have public land, state land, all that, but as you can see right now, there's a lot of land out for sale, or the market, just driving here. How much land do we see for sale? And that's the problem I think we'll end up running into in the future or people will. There's just all of a sudden hunting spots are going to get, squashed because
there's a lot out there.
People, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not saying there isn't any land, but with people buying up land and then maybe people building and all of a sudden getting more congested.
You see it happen
every day. We got Nick over here building freaking houses all over the place. I'm getting sick of it.
I know.
Well, you do see it from season to season. Before, we tend to...
Oh, you were talking about turkey season. That was a posted piece, but still, it took that many times for that guy to say, all right, I had enough.
Yeah, it's we tend to gravitate to a specific piece of woods these days, but before, year to year, we'd spend some time here, and then we'd go out and start getting out in August and September, and you'd start seeing, you'd be like, fuck, this wasn't different. This wasn't posted. Now, you got new owners or whatever it may be, and sometimes it's still just a knock on the door and a friendly shake of the hand and just ask for permission. A lot of times you'd get it, but sometimes people just they want nothing to do with it.
You're representing much more than yourself when you go and ask someone to hunt on their property or have permission to hunt on their property. You're a representative for a much larger group than just yourself and what you want to do.
Yeah, remember that waterfowl seminar in Concord, and the guy touched base on asking permission? He actually had a 15-minute pitch about asking permission. The guy dresses up in nice clothes to ask fields and stuff, and he goes, I usually get it 80% of the time.
Okay.
And it's just just the way you represent yourself like that too. And I know what you're saying about representing, more than representing just hunting, but conservation, all that. But the way you dress too. Nick, all gray, right?
Nick, were you going to touch on how to set up a site or work
about now that we covered some stuff about trying to age in sex pairs? Now let's talk about what do the bait sites look like, and what are you guys looking for in an area? What are you doing for the types of bait?
Yeah,
what are we doing?
What looks
stands?
like a berry area?
Right. How do you pick a spot, number one, that you want to
Everywhere.
have high success? I know the bears are at or above management levels in New Hampshire, so there's lots of bears. So you got to find a piece that you can get in on.
Everywhere's berry. Right. Everywhere is berry.
But what puts it in your advantage?
Permission.
Number one. That's number one because you need to send that in.
Access. wind direction.
That's a big one.
So wind direction, as in, so obviously you're scouting the area. Yeah, but you don't know where the bear are traveling right now. How do you put wind direction? Just by scouting the mountain, what way the wind?
No, it's really I'm going to get real scientific.
No, go ahead. Let's do it.
So if we get permission to hunt a piece of ground that's, we'll just call it a 5 mile square.
Yep.
And there's a road that's running north-south through it. We're going to put the bait on the left side of it, left side of that road. So we'll say north, so it would be on the west side of the road.
West side of the road. Because
we always set up stands and baits for the predominant west-northwest wind. Because
Okay.
we're not moving. We can't like move stands and
there's no
moving around. So
once it's set, it's set. So
it's right there.
Oh,
so
definitely.
so wouldn't even hunt, even if there was even if that road run up and it was only 100 yards to the west, or no, say like 500 yards to the west or 200 yards, we'd set up on the west, even if there was another, 4.5 acres or whatever on the other side, square miles, whatever I said.
Yep. Yep. 5 square miles square.
So we'd always put it on that west side. So the bait is, the stand is between the bait and the access road, or where we come in. Because
that's a pretty strong rule of thumb.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that's a pretty
I think
strong
that's a
rule of thumb.
perfect. Yeah,
because anything other than that, hey, you could be like,
you can put it anywhere on the right side or whatever, but
you could, and if you had, but you'd have to wait typically
wind.
longer for the right wind, the southeast wind or whatever it might be to hunt it. So that's really, it's just you got to. I learned one way. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Course.
I learned one way. It works for us. You can bait with
with one of
a
those
lot
donut
of stuff.
sticks.
You could bait me in with a lot of stuff, But that's really, it's kind of, and it's looking at maps. Looking at maps.
Are you picking out boundaries too on those maps about maybe backstops or boundaries or anything on those maps when you're looking to? All right, hey, this is a backstop. We know
I'd
that they're
rather
not gonna be
always
able
have
to
a bear come down to a bait
get
than have to come up to it. Because just like us, you always feel more. You want to have that bear feel as comfortable as possible coming to that bait, because you want them to come before dark. Yep. They're predators. They're not. They do whatever they want to do. And if they decide to stop and eat some acorns or some raspberries for 15 minutes, that could be the difference between seeing that bear and shooting it and not. They just do what they want. They want to just lay down for a while or whatever. They're not on a clock. I think a lot of, you always got that golden hour people talk about, but
Doesn't always happen.
Ryan shot his bear last year. I don't even think I got home and he already shot it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just you can't. You always got to be ready to shoot one, and especially when there's not much food in the woods. They're gonna come in. When they're hungry, because they do what they want.
Right. Did you guys? I don't know. I just used the bathroom. Did you guys talk about what you? Do you guys
setting up a stand wind direction wise?
So I see some people kind of stack up like logs and shit, kind of make like a pinch point for the bait.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I used to do that growing up. So me and my grandfather all the time. We never hunted with a barrel. Always, when I was young, we'd always get logs. Set it up to the stand where the bear would have to come in broadside to you. That's the only way you could do it. Try to get that bear to just position, come around the logs a certain way, and present a shot for you.
If you taught me how to bear hunt and we had success doing that, I'd probably doing that today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, exactly. My grandfather, I don't know, he shot all his bear like that, 5 or 6 bear, and he's always done that. I missed twice. No, I didn't miss twice. I missed once when I was 15. We had another huge boar come in, stand up, wind us, and off he went.
Yeah.
But we've always done that, just packing light. We didn't really. We were back in there, and my grandpa was like, "I'm not carrying a barrel out here." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Since we do it with family and like friends now, it's like
you gotta.
And we try to get a lot of people involved, and you have new hunters, so you don't want to we ain't gonna hump up 2 miles into the woods, and
Right.
Unless it's
everyone's-
fucking this morning in the rain. And then we're going to do it friggin' 9 times.
That's a new bait site.
We got some new bait sites.
You got to
this
see
year.
if it works.
So with your barrels, what we're talking about, like the half moon, and you have like those
Yeah.
blue poly barrels, or
Yeah.
okay,
Yep, exactly. We just lay them on the side, lay them down, and then that's just a good way because you can just ram those buckets right in there and get all the bait in there. Keeps it dry so it's not all slop and that. And
yeah,
and really, we will spray some stuff on when we'll do a grease drag on the way in when we put them first in. Maybe I don't think we might have.
We haven't done a grease drag in a while. We try to use white barrels too.
Visibility.
For just pure visibility.
Yeah.
That blue will fade right into that twilight.
for you or the bear?
For us.
Okay.
Yeah, for the person in the stand. Listen, it ain't
Reference.
It ain't.
Reference.
You
to
can
the
use
bear.
it by all means. Like there's,
okay, yeah.
but we prefer to use white barrels. There's plenty of them out there.
You made a
there's
point.
actually fucking plenty of them in my backyard. It's starting to look like a crazy
A bait
person.
site?
I don't know what my neighbors
Looks
think
like
of
a
me, but-
loading dock.
Yeah,
shipping container.
it looks like San Francisco loading dock back there. There's about 8 million barrels in my backyard, but
You made you made a point about soggy bait too, and that's another reason why I don't see a lot of people stacking logs up, is because that bait gets just soggy and everything else can get in the thing.
Yeah, and
That's-
it's a it keeps, especially when you're hunting with a new landowner, it keeps everything
Yeah,
contained.
contained. You're right,
We're
yeah.
not hanging stuff from trees, and because the landowner will go out and check it out and look at it, and so I think it just kind of
Respectful. Yeah.
just check your cameras. You'll see
Yeah.
the landowners all over your fucking camera. Yeah. We're like, oh, scratching, touching,
Now, if you're hunting-
touching everything
Eating
around.
the donuts out of there.
Yeah, right.
Is that jelly?
Oh yeah,
Still
that's-
jelly?
we've crossed paths with all sorts of sites in the last few years, but every once in a while we'll meet a new person, and they're so nice enough to let us, and they may have no connection to hunting in their lives, and they still, just with the conversation, like we talked earlier, polite conversation with them, but we'll be scrolling through photos and like, a little slap to the face, and they're checking things out. They're you get that close up of their nose right on the camera, and they'll be like, walking around. And there's not much you can do, and you know what? We're still successful on those.
You gotta
sites,
roll with that.
You just gotta roll with that. I mean, it's nothing against them. It's curiosity, but
How do you guys find, this year with COVID going on and everything, how do you guys find being out in the woods? There are a lot of people out there. Have you seen much around where you guys are scouting?
To be honest with you, I haven't in especially yesterday where we put out, we knew the weather's gonna be bad, so yesterday afternoon put out a few baits. No, barrels and stands.
barrels and stuff. Yeah. Record scratch.
This is on
This is where
Tuesday,
shit got weird.
September the 1st.
All right, Live Free Hunt podcast.
No. We try to get our barrels and stands out before actually
Just
get
the
out
week
there.
before,
Yeah,
yeah.
the week, always the weekend before. It's a tradition for us, and they're empty barrels.
But I was surprised that there wasn't as much. The trails didn't look as beat down as I've seen them in the past.
Yeah.
But I know everyone is out crawling around
Yeah.
everywhere these days. We've run into it, but I'm sure it was a crappy day.
Yeah.
So I don't,
Everyone's
I
staying
don't
in,
know. So I know everyone's crawling around everywhere this year. But that was kind of a funny thing because you're like, huh. Like they weren't trampled. The grass weren't all trampled
almost-
down and stuff.
I almost
you know?
just some of our more common ones weren't. I didn't go with
Oh,
Kevin
that's right,
yesterday.
yeah.
I didn't go. I was working yesterday.
Yeah, that's
so,
right. That's right.
So some of our more. I almost started
I worked
listing out
yesterday.
names. Yeah. So, but even those sites over there, because some of those are.
Yeah. No,
They have the possibility of
foot traffic.
Some of the ones we were at today, no sane person in their life would be walking through. But and we got some gnarly ones this year. But I tell you what, every gnarly walk we had in there, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, debate this site. I'm like, oh, and then you get there and you're like, fucking Kevin. He's got a good nose. I just stand back. I don't say much. I'm just looking around. I'm like, someone's pulling a bear out of here this year for sure. We're gonna be rallying out in those woods.
Yeah, we got a few young bucks this year.
Yeah.
So we kind of like gave them those sites.
Like first time bear.
One of
hunters?
them is a first time
Cool.
bear hunter, experienced hunter. Then we got Dakota, who got his first bear last year with us. So we kind of put him with Benny, and then Ryan has killed a couple.
Yeah, a few with us. Or a couple. Yeah.
Yeah. So he
That's fun.
he's
too,
on
man.
them.
That's
baits,
where
so it's like we kind of got them like, here are your 4, So they'll start to, we'll bait with them, at the beginning just to help them, and then
it's
from
theirs.
now on it'll be like, these are yours. If you never want them again, or you want to stop baiting them, let us know. We'll take them. Like, we get someone else. We'll let someone else bait them.
Nothing beats getting that call at dusk and be, hey, I just shot a bear. You guys going to come out here and help me? He's like, yep, we'll be right there. We just got in the truck.
Oh, yeah.
That brings up
fire drill.
like a little funny thing that we have. So in recent years, like we've done this enough and we've taken enjoyment out of it. And perhaps, and I think Kev would definitely agree, perhaps one of the most fun and exciting parts of bear hunting for us is that every year we do have new faces that become lifelong friends, but we have these massive text message threads that everyone that's involved with the season.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And there might be, Nick has been involved in these threads, and so and the code is shots fired, and so Kevin and I a lot of times will drop people off at the baits, almost acting. But not. I mean, not. But but just kind of like dropping them off and make sure they're okay, and then we have this massive thread, and you may have 9 people out in the woods, and and then all of a sudden, boom, the phone starts hitting, shots fired, and now we're spread pretty thin these days. We're all over the North Country, so you may have someone just a whatever out in Sandwich. You could have someone out in Bristol or Hebron, and so it's like we call it the fire drill. It's like
everybody go.
Everyone's rubber boots are lined up. The trucks are fueled up. The jet sleds are in the back. There's a cooler with some Diet Cokes in there. For, maybe a couple nips of grapefruit juice, and so we get out there, and it's just such a awesome thing to experience that moment with some of these people that have never, they may be experienced hunters and they may have dropped bucks over the years, but they have just never walked up on a bear. It's a whole nother level of
the camaraderie with the group of bear hunters is amazing. Everybody's boosting everybody.
Yeah. In this group, I hope so. Yeah. We got a pretty big group of people
being
here,
a part of those text chains, and you'd see like, oh, who's going to be hunting on whatever day, and I got a Wednesday off, and everybody else is like, oh, I'm jealous. I want to be out there. Go get one for me. I want
And and like, so every evening, starting September 1st, every evening we let the whole group know who's sitting and where they're sitting, and by that point, most of the group can at least familiarize themselves a little bit with that, and be like, oh yeah, I remember walking out there. Okay, I know where that dude is sitting. And then it's just, I don't know, it's just a good thing, Feels good.
Awesome. Do you guys, are you sitting in the morning? I know generally it's probably just, an evening sit.
We just sit in the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's, again, goes back to the way you learned, and even my previous life, we tried that, and I'd go in, bait it, and leave somebody there, and drive off and come back and pick them up after we're done baiting. For us, it never worked.
Yeah.
So it's one of them things where, and that was probably more what the bear was doing. It was taking too long to get there, or the bait needed to be moved a little bit to get closer to where the bear was coming down from.
Yeah.
So.
He's gonna piss. Stand by.
You're gonna hold the jug for him?
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a lamp behind me.
Just pissing on my expensive car. There's someone in there, I think.
So yeah, but people kill them in the morning. You see people kill them in the morning. I mean, I don't think there's any. Hey,
have you ever used?
You got all day to take care of it instead of trying to get it wrapped up. At the end of the evening. And
I know, in the dark, it's all dead weight.
Oh
yeah.
Even finding. Do you guys say you guys shoot a bear? You guys out there looking? Well, probably depending on the blood. You guys out there looking that night? You guys wait? Usually go in there next morning or?
No, we try to get right to it.
Yeah.
My experience is if they're either dead or they're not.
Yeah.
The dead moan. Can you? I mean, that's a telltale sign, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You hear them moaning.
Yeah.
You usually see them moaning.
Well, and another thing that you had told me when I started bear hunting was shot placement's different. You know, 'cause I was doing archery, and you had told me some horror stories about guys trying to kill bears with a bow.
Oh, it's so tight. Those vitals are just like they're just in a little basket, protected by everything.
Yeah, I believe you got to shoot them right in the shoulder.
Right tight, yeah.
Right in the shoulder. Because if you try to shoot them behind the shoulder and you get a little farther back, then you're really far back. And if you hit them a little bit forward, you're going to be all right. Never take a neck shot on a bear. I don't believe ever take a neck shot because you got a spine that's only so big. And you got all that fur, and then you got two jugulars, but there's a lot of meat there, and they're the toughest animal in the world so it's like you can run one right through their neck, and if you don't hit them right, all you're going to be doing is, crying in your milk.
Dude, I get up to take a fucking leak, and you're talking about neck shots on a bear? Jesus. No, bad idea.
Right. That's the one that's crossed off the list.
Yeah.
No neck shots.
Yeah. No neck shots.
Frontal shots, I wouldn't even screw with
they're
that.
tough up front.
No.
Yeah.
They're tough everywhere.
Because, I think what you had told me was shoot the middle of the middle with the bear.
Yeah, and don't stop shooting.
Right.
If it's
don't stop shooting.
Even if you run out of ammo and have to call someone for more, don't stop shooting.
Right.
So if one goes down, obviously you just keep going until
well, put it this way: a lot of people will shoot one, and then it gets down. They think it's all flailing around, and and they I got it, and they get up, and then pow, they're gone because either they shot them low and hit them in the front leg, or they shoot them behind, and the bear's trying to wondering what stung them or what got at them, so they're spinning around on the ground because they're trying to get at whatever they thought got them, and then all of a sudden they kind of get their wits about them. They're like, "Oh no, that ain't that," and then gone. So, and that's why I always say, just keep shooting. The taxidermist be able to stitch that stuff up.
patch that bitch right out. You'll be fine.
Yeah. So I think that's in
my opinion. You leave them open. A little reminder.
Yeah. And don't. I know it's one of them things where people are like, I want to shoot one with a single shot, or I want to do it with my muzzle loader, which is fine, but shoot one first.
Yeah.
And use a gun that you can rack some shells through. Just get one under your belt. I think it's a big thing. The bear deserves it.
Yeah.
You deserve it. Just
get it done with. Yeah.
Yeah, then you can take it from there after you.
What's up with the? This is off the wall question, but the gallbladder. What's the deal with the gallbladder of the?
You got to ask an Asian for that.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Why is it still a thing though? As I'm not giant
it's
bear
an
hunter.
aphrodisiac, right? Or I know I've heard stories of a woman down in Appalachia that felt she needed one every day of her life to live, and so she was eating one every day. I mean, that's 365 bears a year.
She was hanging out with Daniel Boone, or
yeah. But
I messed around with one of those once.
Did you?
Yeah.
What Appalachian woman or?
No.
Valid question.
The gallbladder. It took me about 2 months to calm down after that.
Slam it in the door.
Yeah, Kev told me to take a bite out of one. And took about 2 months to calm down after.
We were on a long road trip.
Yeah.
Hey, quick, knock the dew off this for me.
Kev, what's in that jar right there?
Oh, Let me see.
Little bear fat.
Yeah, you guys ever mess around with rendering out the bear fat?
No.
Not yet.
I saw some
Not
people
yet.
boiling it
We're
down
getting
on
there.
social media, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, well,
Then they started cooking some stuff in it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's, I guess, just
it's liquid COVID.
Hey, so I had a
That's the
question.
Corona
I wanna
killer.
get there.
We had a question roll in on Instagram about bear hunting, other tactics besides baiting. Like I know they got. So are those scent sticks considered baiting? I don't think.
I'm
No,
not.
you know what I mean. The ones you light, the little donut sticks.
I think the
that's-
regulation is it's got to be digestible. So if they can eat it, that's considered bait. If it's a well, I know, but if it's a food stuff, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I
I
don't
just
know.
wasn't sure if you guys ever hunted with that stuff or not.
No,
You ever do the burning honey
Nope.
no.
going into something?
None of
Burning
that.
gelatin.
Listen,
No,
there's
I
There's one tactic, baiting.
well, no, I mean, listen,
I know
Kev's, if he's said it once, he's said it 100 times. That works for people,
No,
and it
Yeah.
could work for us. It's not something we do. We just kind of successful or beer cans falling over.
you're just more efficient baiting than.
Well, you know what? We just have a way of doing it. It is our routine. We are pretty darn successful with it, and it just kind of no reason to mess with the recipe. But there's all sorts of stuff out there.
yeah.
There are sprays. There are things you can burn. Some people use, icing, cake icing, and they say that. Some people hang little bags of popcorn on trees or use just pure. I mean, it's like
That's
you
what
could.
I did was popcorn.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could lit. Well, for
Well,
it was
Yeah.
3 miles
I
in.
Thought,
It was
I thought
I wouldn't like baiting.
I want to be carrying out buckets out there.
It was
either.
a 1,000-foot climb.
I thought his bait site was out of control.
Did you kill a bear
That's
off of
scary.
the popcorn?
I had a lot of bears come in.
Over the hanging popcorn.
It wasn't hanging
Oh.
popcorn, so I was popping 50 gallons of popcorn, and then putting it in trash bags on my frame pack. And
Were you building a fire out there and popping it like Jiffy
no,
Pop?
I was stinking
the
up the
scent
house
going
for 6 hours at a time, popping popcorn and then
Yeah.
stuffing bags, and then hiking
Kids
up the
thought there
mountain.
was a fucking movie night every night.
Yeah, I know.
They don't
we
even
have to-
eat popcorn anymore.
But it worked. It worked. So that site had a sow with 3 cubs come into it all the time, and then it had one big boar that only showed up a couple of nights. But I figured out what scent he liked, but it just happened to be that it was my time to go up and guide for the week that he was showing up. Not kettle corn, just regular popcorn.
chocolate drizzle.
Yeah. No, the scent that was working was bacon.
Really?
Yep, it was bacon. So Moultrie makes a product that you pour onto your baits, and it was like hickory smoked bacon.
Yeah.
And I tried blueberry that they made. I tried raspberry that they made. I did the regular fryer grease with Gold
Yeah.
Rush in it,
Yeah.
and that brought in the sow with the 3 cubs. And I figured eventually
Yeah.
one of a big bear would come in. He didn't, so I tried this savory bacon, whatever, from Moultrie. Boom, that big one that had that skunk stripe ripped out of his hide on the back that was rubbing.
Yeah.
He was as big as the barrel.
Yep.
And it was like,
Let's be honest.
that's the bear.
Who's not going to come crawling in over bacon?
I know. Who doesn't like vegans like bacon? You know?
Make a vegan bacon.
Right.
Right. Faking.
So, what was the question on social media again? We
It was just about other ways of hunting bear without baiting. So I guess
without baiting. So you're talking hounds. You're talking.
Well, without hounds, just pretty much, I guess. If
Well,
you have an
doesn't-
area where you're seeing a lot of bear on trail camera, I'm guessing you got
So you want to
cameras
go
out
out
for deer.
Food source.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hunt your food source.
Yeah,
I
you're
guess,
hunting the
and
food
Say,
source.
doesn't
I
Adam
guess
hunt
you can
cornfields?
try. Yeah, I guess
Adam
you can
Evans,
try
he
to.
looks for
Yeah.
bear tunnels in cornfields,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
sets
I
a
pass
sets a
I pass a cornfield every day on the way to work, and I can tell a bear's in there destroying it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he's going through it. I'm like,
Let's
dang.
stop and see that farm.
Yeah.
Right. Hell.
I know where the farm is. I had permission to
that spot that I took you a goose hunt. Whenever every year they've got.
Sounds
them
like
in
a
there.
late night ride tonight to me. There's but
yeah, so
I
I guess
mean,
it's
listen,
not
you
food
got
source.
cornfields, and then Kev and I have crossed paths with some and we continue to this day raspberry patch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
you
say
get a
like
clear
a
cut.
Clear
second
cut.
year cut. It's going to have those raspberries
start
and those
coming up.
blackberries,
And
especially
it's
now with the blackberries.
infested.
Yep.
They'll be infested with bears.
I had a bear last year behind my house, and he's still around. I found bear tracks, walked my dogs out back this past year with the snow on the ground still. I'm like, that bear's out early. And I cleared out a path where I'm scouting, just a glance, and there was a bear track in my path the next day. I'm like, that son of a bitch still back here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Won't
Absolutely.
let me bait it, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I'll kill that thing.
I just I've threatened, they're like, oh, we'll throw the baits out and then let's go up somewhere, where we know there's a bunch of bears and hunt. Yeah. Well, just like, we have
one
they're
spot.
there. But
I know what you're
To
talking
try
about.
to spot and stock.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
trying
just
to
they're
glass
there,
them
but
up.
it's like it's just baiting so much fun. I don't want to shoot one another way because I want to see how the baits are doing. I want to see we have 7 new baits this year. Like I want to see how.
You wanna see all
even
the
though I'm not
stuff.
hunting them, I
Yeah.
still, you want to see how they're doing,
So
like
much
be
more
involved.
information, just
And
It's
here,
not-
yes,
how
and
they're
you,
acting and stuff.
and all those baits, every bait is a little bit different, and so it's so exciting to see. Oh, all right, this is working. Look at that. We've never had a bait like that. They've never, like the more diversity you can get, you're learning every year something little, and it gets better and better in your selection
You
of
ever
area
notice-
gets better and better.
You ever notice a change or like weather, that'll get them more active, similar to like deer.
Obviously,
you get the
colder weather will
cold
probably
fronts that
get
come
that.
through, you see deer that move, same thing. You get cold fronts that come through, they push ducks and geese. Do you notice anything like that, like a rain day?
I know
or
what
a
my
hot
answer is. I don't know what
day, or-
Kev's answer
What's
is.
your answer?
My answer is we've fucking hauled bear out in 85 degrees. We've hauled them out, and you're wearing your sweatshirt and bundled up. You're still cold. It's been raining. It's been sunny. It's been cloudy. I haven't over the years, and how many bears have just here, regardless of your experience before New Hampshire, which is immense. Dude, get out in the stand and sit.
Right.
I totally agree with what Bob said, and he's right. You'll kill them in any type of conditions. One thing that was kind of wild when I was working with Cedar Ridge there was you'd go and it must have been, I don't know, I'll say 40 square miles, whatever, from Bald Mountain to out to-
That's a name.
There's about 40 Bald Mountains in range.
There's one in Tufton.
Out to Appleton Corner. There's only probably one of them. But huge area. But we ran baits on a 3-day rotation. We'd fill them up, and because we had so many, you could only bait them every 3 days, but we'd bait every day. But you'd see they would eat the same things out of the barrels all of a sudden. They'll dig through stuff to get to one food source in the barrel, and it wouldn't just be like one barrel. It'd be like more than half the barrels. So it was like weird, like the weather or the time was telling them their body needed something,
Some
whether it was
carb,
the
more
protein,
carb,
carbs or the protein. So it bounced back and forth, but you couldn't ignore it. I mean, it was very evident. But it was
The biggest thing
really
that I
weird.
had left behind in the bear site all the time were bagels. They wouldn't touch
They
a
do
damn
not
bagel.
like
They don't touch the
bagels.
bagels.
They do not like bagels.
You're right.
They don't even like them in Maine.
No, my mother worked at Dunkin' Donuts for a while, so we'd always get our bait from there. Just
Perfect.
yeah, but obviously, what now? So they banned chocolate. Would you even be able to use a chocolate glazed donut still?
No.
No, nothing.
I didn't think
No.
so. I didn't think so.
I mean, it's
So-
amazing. I can't even believe there's a bear still alive in Maine to hunt because they still use chocolate.
Well,
They'd be all dead.
And I think the only thing that happened, like just
got diabetes.
just like your dog. I seen a dog eat a whole thing of Halloween candy. Perfectly fine. Never brought it to the vet or nothing. The bears that just die around here probably just overgorged themselves with chocolate, maybe if that.
Or they got a
that was-
trash bag out of the
I don't think
dumpster.
I'd-
That had nothing to do with it.
There was a
I think
specific
it was
incident.
It was a compromise.
Yep.
Yeah,
It was
I
a
think that was a
rolling to
political
the next
compromise.
question now. Since in the state of New Hampshire we can't really use chocolate products, what do you guys? Is it hard for you guys to find bait now?
No.
You guys still using oats and
No.
No.
We use sweets, just like non-chocolate or dark chocolate sweets.
Yep.
Or non-chocolate donuts, and then we use bread, and we use meat.
So what do you find the most that they're all, like we were just talking about? What do you find them digging out the most?
On a good stand, they fucking clean the barrel.
Yeah,
Don't
all
you know
the
what I
time,
mean?
yeah.
Like so.
So you're always putting out stuff that
fortunately
you know they
in
like.
New Hampshire, the providers, the mass providers of bait, and there's a few out there. You know, I don't know if you're dropping names and stuff like that, but
Sure.
Coyote Creek,
Yep.
instantly had the availability of chocolate free for New Hampshire, and that was a quick transition from
Easy.
we've gotten bait from lots of different people over the years, and you got, and just for example, Coyote Creek was instant. Boom, snap of the finger. Okay, the law changed, and boom, you can go through their bait.
Yep.
And you're not going to find any chocolate. You don't have to worry. There's no concern that you're doing something wrong, or
And
then
they get their bait from Bear Bait Solutions,
right.
Which, Henry, I'm glad you started mixing your barrels, so we didn't open up a barrel and get a whole thing of animal crackers.
we had well, no,
So
wait,
you've
not
won
only
back
that,
the customer.
yeah. So we 1 year, and we get. I mean, listen, we buy a lot of bait. You know, we got a lot of people involved in this process. I mean, obviously, you can only have 2 bait per person, but we got a lot of people involved here and help facilitate everybody. But 1 year it was crack. I mean, you crack 1 or 2 and you see some pastry and whatnot. It's all good. And halfway through the season, we cracked this one. It was fucking 55 gallons of animal crackers. Yeah, we had another one. It was
It's 55 gallons of bagels.
right. And
Oh, I drove that
so
one
there was
back.
another one. I don't think it was on purpose. Maybe 3 years ago, we had 55 gallons of trail mix.
Yeah.
I don't think that was on purpose. We didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah,
did we?
because we had that landowner that wanted us to use all
Oh,
natural,
that's
so we had
right.
to run over
Yeah.
and pay more money.
Here's the
for
thing.
that.
Here's the thing too. You're gonna come in contact with landowners, or it's not only sometimes one landowner. That specific bait site was not necessarily one landowner. It was a
Conservation.
a
group. It was
conservation.
yeah. God, it was the.
I can't remember now either. Come in contact with so many people. Anyhow, they had a couple thoughts and how they didn't want the grease. They didn't want.
All natural. They wanted
All natural.
Sure, they
Peanuts,
wanted all
anything,
natural.
yeah.
So we got a bunch of fucking granola. Matched the.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it did.
But
Yeah.
the tough thing with that, I mean, I know people love it. They love
Oh
it.
no, it worked.
But
Wow.
when you get a year where there's not a lot of food in the woods,
I'm kind of
that's
hoping
not a lot of bait. Like, you got a 55-gallon drum of granola.
you could fill it, they'll empty it
in
in
berries. I mean,
2
You
days.
don't go far. You know what I mean? Like, so you got to kind of like get some filler. You know, you get bread. You know, you can dress it up with it, whatever you want. But it's just a good filler. You know, like you hear guys like, "Oh my God, they're crushing my granola. They're crushing. I
course
gotta
they
buy
are.
another barrel.
Yeah,
Well, that's
no-
another
there's no
125
acorns in the
bucks,
woods right now.
You know,
Yeah.
at a whack. You know, it's like so. That's my philosophy and our philosophy about it. You know, it's just tough to. That's humping a lot of bait and keeping it full. And we just bait every Saturday or maybe Sunday, depending on what's going on. And we freight it for the week because we're not running out there during the week. So, you know, you got to make sure it's full and there's going to be some volume that's going to.
The volume is the
Keep.
thing, right?
was gonna
Because
say,
you
that's what I
could
was
take
gonna go into
you could
next,
take
yeah.
2 5-gallon buckets,
That's what I was
right?
gonna go
And when
into
Kevin
next,
and I
yeah.
bait together, it's so you're taking 4 buckets at a time. There's 2 of us, and many times there's maybe other people helping us, but for a long time it was just Kevin and I, and.
Out of the back of the Subaru.
Well, that I thought maybe we should talk about that first year
So-
because I thought about this a little bit, and like people maybe find this all intriguing, but they just don't know where to start. Or
That's what I was going to ask you. What do you guys? So not to throw you off topic,
Yeah,
we can
no,
wrap
I
into
don't-
that. But so like you said, you guys each have a 5-gallon bucket. You guys are dumping 20 gallons of bait,
or more than that sometimes.
more than
So,
that at a site. It all
depends,
depends
it
on how
depends.
much you're baiting it.
We
Obviously,
want it full. So
Okay.
it's kind of like puking
Full.
out the front.
Okay.
Because we got to leave it for a week.
Okay, so if you're going in, say if you were checking that site every 2 days, would you only fill it 20 gallons or?
I'd never check
Just-
it every 2 days.
No.
Here's-
I just didn't
here's-
know if. Well,
I-
there's
I-
people
I-
out there
I
that do
think-
it.
No,
So
absolutely,
that's
and
what
they
I was
kill
just
bears
curious.
doing it.
That's what I was curious. If,
So
just for
it's-
anyone that's getting
let
into
'em
this that know, all right, hey, if I check it every 2 to 3 days, I'm putting in 20 pounds. Or,
Right, and it's a big thing. Well, what do we typically consider? If you got if you got a 55-gallon drum, that's 10 buckets.
Yeah.
So if it's empty, you want to put 10 buckets in.
Nothing will
Week
sink
set.
your heart
Yeah, week
on a Saturday morning at 6 in the morning when you go out there. It's
bank's
it's
empty.
the biggest double-edged sword you ever see. You're like, oh my god, it's empty. And then you're like, oh my god, I gotta make fucking 5 trips out here. And I'm like, instantly, I'm like, all right, well, here we go. This is double-edged sword. You're so pumped that the thing got racked, and
gotta
then
hump
you're
some
like,
bait.
and then I look at Kevin. I'm like, my right arm's a little sore. I'm like, maybe
I get the like ball,
I'll grab the empties.
yeah. I'll get the bread ones.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a difference between the bread's always a little bit lighter than the pastry.
Someone's always got a rotator cuff during bear season.
Yeah.
I can't haul anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
to wrap
no,
up,
just keep them freighted.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're gonna do it the way we do it, we don't touch them during the week. We don't want to touch them during the week. You resist all the urges you have in you to go check those cameras, and it's for us. It's worked. Saturday morning, you go freight them, you check your cameras, you get back to the truck, you look at the photos, you get excited, and you move on to the next bait. It takes all morning. Get back, and then you're bringing people out to stands in the afternoon. So but like Kev said, there's people that check them every 2 days, and they shoot bear every year.
And hey, I'm not saying I might not have run out during the week. No one knew about it.
I had to put a GPS device in his fucking Jeep one year because I'd call him. It'd be like a Wednesday, and it'd be like 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, what's up, dude? I can hear he's like obviously driving. I'm like, where are you headed right now? He's like, oh, nowhere. It's just I'm like doing work shit. I'm like, sounds like a gravel road, dude. You sure you're not on the way out to site number 5? He'd be like, no, guys, I swear I'm not going to check cameras.
But really, like with people, are we going to touch on like what people should do when they first start?
Yeah.
You know what?
Throw it out the window.
You know what? Find access to hunt and let them soak. You got to try. Because I can tell you, we got bait sites that are in places that you would never think would be a good place because it's fairly close to foot traffic, it's on state land, it's this, it's that. And some of those places have the biggest bears coming to them.
And you would never know.
No,
You wouldn't, but you just got to try. Let it just try. And you know what? You're not locked in forever. Give it a chance. Give it 2 years. Maybe give it a fair shake. But you can always be looking. You can always be searching for the next place. And then you get a buddy that deer hunts and does all this other stuff, and he's never bear hunted. Say, hey, you know what? I got a place over here that if you want to start bear hunting, try that. We'll throw a bait out and let it soak and see what happens. And you just
take something from each bait too.
No.
We have learned something different. Again, prior to New Hampshire, Kev's got an immense amount of experience, but it's a little different here. It's not the North Main woods, and you learn a little bit different. I mean, we laugh about our first year baiting. We baited out of my Subaru Outback. Back then, I had a Subaru. We didn't have a pickup truck. We had this fucking urge to hunt bears and bait. Kev had the experience, and we.
Subaru, baby. Let's go.
No,
Right?
no,
That's
that's
not
not
what
what
it
it
was.
is.
Had plenty of bears in a Subaru.
Dude, I've had more dead bears in the back of a Subaru, and I'm not even kidding. We've hauled a lot of fucking bears out in a Subaru, and here's the deal: you throw it all in the back of a Subaru, you never get rid of the smell. It's just you know what I mean? But
driving to work,
here's
you're
the
like-
deal: do you want to do it, or listen? If you want to do it, you don't need. You know what you need? You need a license. You need some land. You need permission. You need some sort of bait. and that's about it. Throw it in the trunk.
Got to be willing to
do
try.
whatever you got to do. Oh, did this
You know?
jar just come around again? Yeah. I wish we had some of the special jar, but that's all gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's long gone.
Make another one.
Yeah.
We're cranking up in an hour, and I know you guys have a party going downstairs, so we'll.
There's practically a party going on right there.
What's the count, fellas? 5 girls, 1 cup. What's that one?
I almost just spit whatever is in that jar all over this microphone.
If you could give one tip for someone to take away for bear hunting, what do you think that like the most important thing to do? No matter what, I mean, we talked about a bunch of scenarios, and we talked about what works for you, what doesn't. What would be like the number one thing that you have to do?
Kevin's gonna say it over again.
Yeah.
Find that permission. Find that access. Get in the woods.
Yeah, I got the number one thing: sit right.
Sit right.
Don't be fussing. Don't be fidgeting. Sit right. Have confidence in your stand.
Yeah, because they call them
They
the black
They
ghost,
come
right?
in
Yeah.
quiet.
And if you
They don't
can't,
even break a stick. You're like all of a sudden, oh, it's right here.
just because you can't see them doesn't
like
mean they're there. And everything you do, say it's a week or a season you're gonna hunt. Everything you do the first night is gonna affect the second night, and those 2 nights are gonna affect the third night. So sit right, and when you can't see to shoot, get out of your stand. Even though there's still legal shooting time. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah. It's about all I had, so go ahead,
But
Kev, whatever.
get out of your stand, because if you get a bear that comes in
That was
then you
2.
can't see to shoot, you're going to mess it up. So you got to have confidence. If they're coming, they're coming. And a lot of them bears, they're there and they'll sit and watch. We had guys that have watched a bear come down and bed down, and they just been there. They'll stay there 45 minutes, and they're just watching, and they're just doing what they want to do, but they're there. And if maybe it was just a little bit different, the leaves were different or whatever, you couldn't have seen that bear, but that guy was able to see him. Another guy, you see, hear the stories. Yeah, so it's like everything, stay positive, and everything you do the first night affects the second night. So if the wind ain't right, don't hunt it. Just don't. If you get them killing nights, and
Listen, you may only have 4 nights.
right?
New Hampshire season is extremely restrictive. We didn't
Short,
even get
too.
into that and
No,
how it
that's
compares to
bullshit,
Maine
yeah.
with the baiting laws and regulations. But you may only have 4 nights, 4 Saturdays. Don't do it. Don't listen. They're coming. If you're hunting over bait, they're coming. Just
And that's the biggest thing we find is like, all of us work. So it's like finding time to hunt. Oh, we got a weekend to hunt. We got to get out in the woods. But hey, maybe.
don't do it.
Yeah, I know. Don't
if
do
it's
it.
not right,
Even
don't
though
do
you're
it.
short, you don't have a lot of
Wait
time.
and
Wait it out till
and
you get there.
strike while the iron's hot.
Right.
I can't. That's something that we did, especially last year. It was like, you want everyone to get a bear and this and that, but like, if someone can't hunt and the time is right, and we don't like to think that way. Like, it's like it's all an even playing field.
Yeah.
Because we got, everyone's got everyone else's name on something, and we want everyone to shoot one. But it's like when you got to strike while the iron's hot, especially a year like last year where there's so much food in the woods, and we had bears coming all different times, all different sizes. If you got one that's coming right there, and you got to do it. Boom. But the weather's got to be right. The wind's got to be right, and you got to take advantage
I'm noticing that more throughout the years, especially is the wind. Like just glancing at these bucks that I've been watching for a week and almost 2 weeks now, that they're coming from a certain direction every time. So if I just went down there any time, then I didn't know, I would fuck up that whole spot. But now paying attention to that now, it's like the wind. I'm like, I'm not going in there until the wind's good.
Yeah.
So-
I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'll wait. And I have a luxury where I live locally, so I
Yeah.
can just I can kind of the weather's gonna be good this night, so I'll just
Make sure you can
go out. And I don't, I want to kill one for meat every year without question. But it's like I have the ability I can wait it out, and then when it's a killing night,
And we talk a lot about
Right.
kill night. Here's one thing: if you find yourself hunting over bait, and that's the path that you decide works for you, bear baiting. We talked about judging size of a bear and things like that. With my experience, I'd say the number one tip, let that bear get to the damn barrel. And you are going to have these, your adrenaline's going to fucking go through the roof the second you see that black coming down the hill.
Yeah.
And everything's going to tell you, just start unloading, right? Because you're going to look at it and you're going to say, holy shit, there's a black bear.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly difficult, as we've said throughout this past hour, to judge the size of a bear. You have to let it get to the barrel. And I've made the mistake. I'm sure many people out there have. We've had friends that have had different decisions. You have the best opportunity possible to make sure, to ensure that that is indeed the bear you want, by being able to compare that size of the barrel. So it's this massive urge to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And it could be 10 yards off. It could be 5 yards off that barrel. Don't do it until that damn thing. Listen. It's going. It may take a while, and you'll watch that bear, and they'll paw, and they'll circle, and they'll move, and they'll hem, and they'll haw, and they don't want to come down. And then when they finally get that confidence to get to that barrel, trust me. Listen, it's a barrel full of fucking donuts. It's going. It's going. Just let it get there so you can make that best possible decision. And then I've had them at the barrel, and I still make a poor decision. But that's a whole nother story.
Shoot them while you got them.
If it's a bear, you shoot on the first night or last night, shoot on the
First night.
Right.
So,
Right.
but
You don't wanna
that's another thing. It's just that is your biggest tool. That big white 55-gallon barrel. That is your biggest gauge. There's no other gauge. Your brain, no one has the experience of seeing so many wild, that animal in the wild. Right. It's not deer. You don't have we've said it. There's no rack. It's not turkey.
Nothing.
You don't have a beard. Yeah. You don't have a beard. You don't have a fan. You got nothing. No experience.
And it is one opportunity to observe animals, because I grew up, I never observed deer. I saw a deer. I was like, pow, pow, pow. It's a flag. These people I was watching the rut go on, or this or that. It's no, I never
Not
seen that. I might have maybe had the chance to see it, but I shot the doe before the buck. So it's but with bears and bear baiting, it's a great way to observe animals, wild animals, and the way they interact, a lot of crazy stuff.
Listen,
with my girlfriend last year, 2 years ago now, Amy, she was sat on a bait with me, and it was crazy. It was they were slamming the baits, and we were there 15 minutes maybe, and here comes a bear. I'm like, this never happens. And then another bear, and they're interacting, and it was a sow with a boar, and he was they were probably 100 pounders or whatever, and but he was real aggressive. You could tell she was timid and working around and this and that, and
you would never see that. You would never, ever.
Right.
I've had them obviously break branches and stuff like that coming in the bait, smacking stuff to try to scare whatever else is on the bait. But they know if there's another bear.
Oh yeah, you can totally tell if they know another bear's there.
Here's
they know.
Here's the thing too, we've walked into bait. I took our good friend John Lamb in. We walking up to the bait. There's two bear, right? We just sit. We're trying to get them in the stand, right? So, and we knew those two weren't shooters. Get them up. Finally, those two kind of
veer off.
I'm like, go. I'm like, we were on a rock wall. I'm like, just go right now. I'm like, don't look at the barrel. I'm like, don't look at nothing. Just get your ass up in the seat. I'm like, listen, these bears are coming back down. That evening, we were talking about being able to watch these wild animals. At one point, there were no shooters, but he has film of 7. The number in my head was 7.
Shit.
So 7 bear at one. No, not individually. 7 bear at once
On the bait.
On the bait, around the bait,
That's-
on the hill.
That is
Up
crazy.
a tree.
Up a
Like, he's
tree.
videoing, like, and this is the first time ever bear hunting.
Yeah,
This is
No
his
kidding.
first.
yeah, this is his
Holy-
first
what an
time bear hunting.
experience.
So not only walking him in, and I'm like, holy fuck. I'm like, boom, we dropped to the ground. So like, he never pulled the trigger that night. He never pulled the trigger that season, and I think I could speak for him to say that he had the most incredible night, and he's an experienced deer hunter. That's one of the most exciting nights he's ever had in the woods, and it was
We're talking about it now.
yeah,
Right,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
We're just like,
and this was a few
holy
years
smokes.
back, but I mean, it was just he sat there all evening, and he knew none of them were what he wanted. But all night long, he watched this shit in the woods that no one gets to see. It was just and he's got some video of it, and like, it's just an incredible. You just get to. The bear hunting has become a very fond thing for us. So
Do you guys find that? I know we're kind of wrapped up here, but find that if you had a bait site, maybe you got one, maybe two different bear hitting it, just in that general area. Do you find those bear coming? They're going to do what they want, but coming when they want because they know that there isn't a bunch of bear in the area, and they're kind of like just laid back. They're like, all right, I'll just come in when I want to eat because I know.
Well, desperate. It depends on how much food's in the woods.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Because baiting or bait to a bear is only supplemental. They know it's not
just to generate,
natural.
yeah.
If there's natural food in the woods, they might check on it. They might peck at it a little bit. Show up every 4 days. So, they don't rely on it. It's just something.
I was just curious. I thought about that over the past. I'm like, I wonder if since there's, if there's one bear in the area, he's just going to come when he wants. Like he's going to come at night when he knows.
Well,
that
if
that's
there's
gonna
no
be the
if there's no food, monkey, yeah, we've put bears through the winter. I can tell you that we fatten them up, because they just like.
Well, we
young
nicknamed
ones,
we nicknamed bears. Like we had this one bait site in particular, just this little bear monkey. I mean, we got plenty of. My god, there's so many.
First year that I
They're-
baited with you
yeah.
guys,
Listen,
there was
everybody.
a bear that was on it all day long.
Yeah,
They'll sit
every day. That
Yeah,
was
sows
Yeah,
will do
so
that.
I
Listen,
went to
that's
bait it
another
with
way
Blake,
to tell.
And there was that first time I brought in Blake to go bait the barrel.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, Dad, there's a bear right there." I'm like, "Yeah, shut up. You're only 6 years old." And
Right.
then the bear runs off. and-
because they need. So yeah, if
I guess
there's
all
no
matters
natural
on the
food.
weather and-
Yeah, if there's no natural food, they're gonna. You could find them there all day long. But if there's food in the woods, they're gonna. They'll come when they want.
You
That
can
type
bump
of
a
thing.
bear off a barrel walking in. Get your ass up in that stand, and that bear's coming right back.
Steve and I did it the next year too.
Yeah,
We went in.
Steve actually just
Yeah.
walked in the kitchen.
I can tell you, when I was in Maine, lived there for 5 years straight, in guiding for 10, I saw 6
Felt
bears.
like friggin' a lifetime.
Right. I spent 10 years in a 5-year town.
I keep interrupting you. A little bit of our personality comes out.
So I saw 6 bears in Maine during that whole duration. When I was driving woods, doing hundreds of miles. And when I'm here, I think the first year I moved here, I saw 6 bears in a summer.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
This state is it's infested. People don't. I think the general public and people that have zero relationship with this part of hunting or general public who doesn't hunt
Yeah.
do not quite grasp the bear population in this state. It's our very first year baiting out of that Subaru Outback. It was like a feeding frenzy. It was we were beside ourselves. It was just there are so many bear in this freaking state.
I couldn't believe how many bears there were when I moved to Jackman, and then when I moved here.
Yeah.
I was like, there's more bears here, I think, than there are in Jackman.
No, honest to goodness. I mean, you got a much larger scope
in this
of
area. I mean, in
geography.
our Lakes region.
Well, that might be
south of White
might be
Mountains.
human encroachment too. Like you got the great
Yep, you're
You can
right.
cut up the
up
parcels.
in Jackman, right? So like
Big chunks of
big,
woods. Yeah.
big chunks of woods. And here you're talking, we hunting some very respectable pieces of woods, but they're not quite the same. I mean, nothing quite compares to up there. So.
I think when you chop it up too, you got big blocks of houses, and they put the bear ratio at about a bear per square mile. And you've got how many square miles that are just uninhabitable by bears because it's all pavement and
Do
houses.
the fucking math.
Do
the math.
Then you get one little piece of state land that's maybe 5 square miles, but there's 20 square miles around it that has no bears.
Yeah.
Now you're putting 25 bears in that one spot to reach the average.
There's a reason there's floodlights all in the back of my house because the bump in the night that ain't friggin' intruder coming in the house. That's the damn bears out in my 5 billion empty bait barrels I got in my backyard. I turn on the floodlights. I'm like, well, there's a bear. Give the Daisy Red
I don't know how you ever kept chickens.
That's a sore subject.
in that burnt coop out there.
Thanks, Kev.
My bloodhound put one in a tree off of a chicken coop. My chicken coop I was dumping the scratch barrel off. And I was watching it for weeks. I'm like, that fucking barrel keeps getting knocked over. It's probably coons because there was nothing getting eaten out of it.
Interesting.
I'm like, oh, sweet. So I'll strap it to the tree. I strap it ripped off. I'm like, that's a bear. And I walked out next morning, just stood it up. I'm like, I'll take care of it tonight. And I was cooking dinner. I just let my dogs out. And I look outside, I hear my dog going nuts. Oh, shit, what is it? And the bear's going up the tree. I'm like, oh, shit. Huge black bear, at least 200 pounds. And I'm like, damn. I filmed, I took a video of him. Like, this thing just got put up the tree.
No kidding.
I went out there, clapped it down, and it took off.
Oh, yeah, cool.
But
yeah,
it was good.
Right on. Yeah.
But sweet deal, guys. We'll let you guys get back to your party.
I smell the oil frying.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
I think
time to go.
we all need to get back to this party.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Hey,
guys.
thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. I
It
appreciate
was
it,
great
guys.
meeting you guys.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely. And good luck to everyone out there this fall.
It's coming quick.
Hunting.
Couple
I
more
know.
weeks. It's on.
Can't
Next
stop
week.
it.
Three
Can't stop it. It's
days and
coming.
you can shoot a bear.
Shots
And a
fired.
squirrel.
Shots
And
fired.
a goose.
Yeah.
Get those text message threads going, man.
Right.
Shots fired. It's the
Yeah.
best text message you'll ever receive.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Fire drill. Throw on the rubber boots. Jump in the F-350 and fucking.
And wear those cotton gloves that are soaked in grease that have been kicking around the back of the truck.
Well, that's because you got so many people hunting now. The budget don't afford them rubber ones.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, baby, when we're together, it's like Vegas times 3. But in the morning, I'll know better. 'Cause you're so bad for me. Just like a sip of wine leads me to drink. You're my gateway drug. I'm starting to think it's gonna take much more than just 12 steps. So call Betty Ford, call Dr. Drew. Save me a bed, 'cause in a month or two I wanna quit you, girl. Just not yet. Yeah, baby, when we're together, you're the only drug I need. But in the morning I'll know better. 'Cause you're so bad for me. Barreling down the road past these city lights, you got your hands on the wheel, a look in your eye. I ask myself, is it time to slow down? But the night's still young, we're full of gas. Credit cards in my pocket with some limit left. And we got friends in the next town. we're together. It's like Vegas times 3. But in the morning I'll know better. 'Cause you're so bad for me. Yeah, oh baby, when we're together, it's like Vegas times 3. But in the morning I'll know better. 'Cause you're so bad for me. Oh, 'cause you're so bad for me. 'Cause you're so bad for me.